Morning, the Liberals' contentious gun control bill is expected to become law today after getting passed in the Senate.
Accordingly, the motion is adopted.
The vote was 60 to 24. The bill includes a ban on assault-style firearms as well as a handgun freeze. The bill also raises the maximum sentence for gun smuggling from 10 years to 14. The House of Commons passed the bill last May, with the Conservatives opposing, saying it punishes law-abiding gun owners. The Coalition for Gun Control says the bill will make Canadians safer from gun violence. It is expected to receive royal assent today.
And once again, we need to thank our founding fathers for the foresight to see that people like Trudeau would actually come into power. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC, P.A.N. Firearms NR certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. Any channel, content, what I do here, you can support me with the link. Everything is appreciated. Once again, my PSA for my Connecticut residents. If you plan on getting your Connecticut pistol permit, please do the training before July 2024, because after that, it becomes longer, harder, and more expensive to do so. And they're just basically doing it to disincentivize the average person from going out getting a permit to then buy a firearm. For those of you who have your permits, watch that expiration date. Do not rely on the state to send out that renewal notice. Let's talk about this. I'm going to talk about our cousins up there in to the north. And when I say cousins, I'm talking about the gun owners and law-abiding citizens of that country, as the Canadian Parliament has once again passed another set of gun control bills, and they have literally put their boot on the neck of good people under the guise of safety. Now, I want to play, you saw a little bit of the video, but I'm going to go ahead and give you some more context. So let's go ahead and get that.
And CTV's Jeremy Shawn is standing by in Ottawa following the story for us. Good morning, Jeremy. Bill C-21 has now been passed. Tell us, what does this really mean for Canadians as well as the Liberals?
Yeah, well, actually, it means, stricter gun rules starting at some point today, likely, as this becomes law for Canadians. And, this is a bill that has been divisive, and after 6 months at the Senate has passed without any changes. So it passed in the House in May and has remained unchanged here. Supporters feel as though this is a major win. We heard from the Coalition for Gun Control saying that this was a historic day, that this makes Canadians safer from gun violence, and they call this game-changing. They say it reflects more than 30 years of advocacy. Now, you touched on some of the elements here that this new law targets, specifically handguns like you're seeing now, and it will impose a freeze on the sale, purchase, and transfer of handguns. It also will ban assault-style firearms, but it also does a few other things, including implying these new red flag, yellow flag provisions for gun owners, to make sure that flags any gun owner that poses a risk to harm themselves or others. And it also will impose new provisions to make it illegal to make or buy ghost guns. So this is a bill, the Liberals will certainly see this as a win. It's a bill that the Conservatives opposed, and we heard from even Conservative senators who criticized the bill for remaining unchanged at the Senate.
Right.
And that's because of the majority of Senate supporting this. Like you said, 60 to 24 was the vote. But Conservative senators believe there are still flaws in this bill, and that it will now fall on future governments to fix those errors down the line.
What about those other concerns? For example, Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights, who continue to say that this bill is actually targeting those who are lawfully abiding citizens and who have the law to have guns in their control.
Yeah, look, exactly. Actually, the coalition for firearms, the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights, believes this is doing exactly that. Like you mentioned, it's targeting legal gun owners, sport shooters who are following the rules, who are following the law, and they feel as though a lot of these new rules in this new law target them. We saw some changes in the House to this, some amendments, because early on the criticism from this same coalition was that as the law was first tabled, in terms of tackling assault rifles, it was meant to do so through the criminal code. And now that it's been changed under a new technical definition, really all that means is that they're being more specific about the assault rifle, the style of assault rifle that they're targeting. Gun supporters, legal gun supporters felt as though the bill as it was going to impact, again, lawful gun owners, but even would limit certain hunting rifles. And so we've seen some changes to this, but certainly the firearms rights advocates feel as though this is still too restrictive, that it still impacts negatively Canadians who are following the laws and who are just legally gun enthusiasts or sport shooters. So certainly there is still some criticism, Akshay.
All right, we leave it at that for now. CTV's Jeremy.
Heard that and you saw that. Now, they've already passed, last year, they pushed for a complete handgun freeze. They didn't say a ban freeze, but now pretty much every single rifle, from what I saw and what I've read, every single rifle except for bolt actions, lever actions, so forth, hunting rifles. Well, I'm going to come into here. This is from a Canadian outlet, but Liberal gun control bill passes Senate, becomes law. The federal Liberal government's contentious gun control legislation bill C-21 passed the Senate without changes on Thursday, becoming law on Friday. The bill passed the House of Commons in May after months of division and political acrimony. The version that made it to the Senate was significantly expanded from what the federal government had initially tabled a year prior, which means they've added more restrictions to it. Bill C-21 passed by a vote of 60 to 24 and with applause in the upper chamber. The legislation includes measures to tighten gun laws to include red flag and yellow flag provisions related to a gun owner posing a risk to themselves or others. Once again, they're not telling you what context that is, what is considered a threat. Impose a freeze on the sale, purchase, of transfer of handguns in Canada. A prospective criminal code technical definition of what constitutes a prohibited assault-style firearm, which means they will make up the rules on what they consider to be an assault-style firearm, meant to cement in law a permanent ban on future models once the bill comes into force, which means if a manufacturer makes a specific item, they can say, no, it falls under this law. A series of provisions meant to make it illegal to make or buy ghost guns and to combat firearm smuggling, and wording making clear the government's intent to uphold indigenous treaty rights. The bill also includes a requirement for a parliamentary review of the technical definition for 5 years after it comes into effect, while a series of other related measures are being advanced through regulations, which means, once again, if somebody makes an item 5 years down the road, they can say, nope, we're going to throw that in the mix too. Defending Bill C-21 at the time, then Public Safety Minister Marco Mendicino said the Liberals were committed to go further than any government in the history of this country when it comes to gun control, while Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre asserted the legislation targets law-abiding gun owners because that's all gun bans and gun laws ever do. When the bill moved to the Senate, many gun control observers had wondered what, if any, amendments would be made to the legislation. Ultimately, after sitting 6 months, that included a dozen days of study at the Senate National Security, Defense, and Veterans Affairs Committee, where 66 witnesses were heard from, Bill C-21 passed the Senate without amendment. Though senators did submit several observations about the bill, including that the government should consider additional policy measures to address outstanding concerns, such as implementing a Canada-wide database and data collection process regarding all gun-related injuries and death, and consulting further with sport shooters. In the view of conservative senators, the inability to pass amendments to Bill C-21 was due to resistance from the government majority, including that it would be up to a future government to correct the serious errors that remain with the extremely divisive bill. Reacting to the bill's passage, members of the Coalition for Gun Control celebrated that the bill would be granted royal assent unscathed after a very challenging and protracted parliamentary process. Quote, the game-changing bill reflects more than 30 years of advocacy to make Canadians safer from gun violence. The legislation responds to the concerns of experts, community groups, and Canadians from coast to coast, and proposes measured but effective solutions. Reads the group's statement, which means, okay, so you're going to create bans, but they always gaslight the same crap. Gun bans are going to make us safer. Not one part of this addresses criminal activity. Not one part of it. It's really unbelievable. Today really is an historic day. In a statement, Police Soviet said that while the liberal-led gun control measures become law is a solid victory for public safety, the fight is not over, as much as the bill impact will be determined by the coinciding regulations. Okay, Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc marked the bill's passage by thanking Senator Hussein Youssef for shepherding the bill through the Senate and noted it will be presented to Governor General Mary Simon for her final sign-off. In a statement Friday morning, the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights said it's deeply disappointed that Bill C-21 had passed without amendment. And of course, women's anti-violence groups spoke about the danger of changes to the existing red flag law. Law enforcement questioned the focus on legal handguns instead of smuggled ones. And Indigenous leaders condemned the lack of consultation by the government. The CCFR said, once again, they focused on the wrong target. Well, they are focused on the right target. It's not about your safety. They are doing this specifically to limit the rights of the law-abiding. They are not addressing criminal activity because they don't want to. It's about taking guns from good people. The bill received royal assent on Friday ahead of a long holiday hiatus for the House of Commons and Senate. Let's come out of that. So once again, thank God for the Second Amendment. Thank God we have it. Because that would prevent, trust me, what's going on in Canada is what certain factions want to do here. They want this so bad that they probably grind their teeth. They want it so bad. But the Second Amendment, the Bill of Rights, is preventing them from doing so. And my heart goes out to the honest and decent people of Canada who just happen to own a firearm. You really are just being buried with stupidity. And it's unfortunate that the majority of the country obviously is very liberal and very stupid. Because none of this is going to prevent crime or make a society safer. It's just going to prevent good people from being able to exercise what we have here in this country, a right. Theirs is a privilege, and that is the biggest problem. I know Pierre Poilievre is running for, to be the leader of the country, and I hope you people wake up. Because Trudeau is a absolute windbag. And it's really a shocking shame that the only answer they have to crime is to create laws that only the law-abiding will follow. But we got to keep an eye on what's going on. Not so much here in the United States, but what happens at both ends of our borders. Because what's happening there is what they want here. And it's damn well disturbing what they are doing. Because this is not going to change the face of crime. And as that crime continues, they're going to use it as an excuse for even more gun control. And those people who are sitting there in Canada, because I have a friend who lives up in Canada, and I was up there, and we got into a gun conversation with a few of the Canadians, and one of them said, yes, I absolutely agree. People should not be able to own military-style weapons. And of course, that set off the firestorm of a back-and-forth conversation. That's their mentality. They think that this is a good idea, that this is somehow going to curb crime. And I explained very clearly what is the difference between a maniac with a box truck. Remember, this happened in Canada. And somebody with a gun doing the exact same thing. There is no difference. You cannot legislate the behavior of an individual. But like I said, hopefully this next election cycle, Canadians wake up. But what can you do? Let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time the video goes live. I will see you on the next one. Peace.